A document sitting in United Nations headquarters right now, not a copy, an official replica, is older than the Roman Empire. It was written by a Persian king. It abolished forced labor. It guaranteed freedom of religion. That was 539 BC. The rest of the ancient world was still carving conquest into skulls. 6 secrets of ancient Iran that history class never told you. Persepolis and Pasargadae sit roughly 80 kilometers apart in Iran's Fars province. Both rose under the Achaemenid Empire, the largest empire the ancient world had ever seen, stretching from modern Greece to northwestern India. At its height, according to historians, it administered somewhere between 40 and 50 million people, roughly half of humanity at the time. Cyrus the Great founded Pasargadae in the 6th century BC. His grandson Darius I began Persepolis around 518 BC. Construction continued across multiple reigns for over a century. The official history calls them ceremonial capitals, parade grounds, throne rooms, treasury buildings. That explanation holds until you look closer. Because the closer you look, the more you find things that don't fit. In 1879, British archaeologists excavating the ruins of ancient Babylon uncovered a small clay cylinder roughly 23 centimeters long. Its surface was covered in dense Akkadian cuneiform pressed into the clay sometime in the 6th century BC. When scholars translated the text, they expected a temple record or a commercial inventory. What they found changed everything. The cylinder contained a royal decree issued by Cyrus II after his conquest of Babylon in 539 BC. The content was extraordinary for its era. Cyrus declared he would not impose his religion on conquered peoples. Every population under his rule could worship their own gods. Deported peoples, including Jewish communities exiled under the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar, were permitted to return to their homelands. Forced labor on construction projects was prohibited. Workers would be paid. His authority, the text stated, rested not on terror, but on the consent of those he governed. This was 539 BC. The Assyrian Empire before him had scattered entire ethnic populations as a control strategy. Egyptian pharaohs were systematically erasing the memories of their predecessors. Greek city-states were warring with their immediate neighbors over territorial scraps. And this Persian king issued something that reads, by structure, by intent, as a declaration of human rights. The original cylinder is held in the British Museum. An official authenticated replica stands inside the United Nations headquarters in New York. Iran presented it in 1971 as evidence that the concept of human rights did not originate in Enlightenment Europe. It originated here, 2,500 years earlier. But here is the detail almost nobody includes. Babylon did not fall by force. The city gates opened from the inside. The priests of the god Marduk welcomed Cyrus as a liberator. The cylinder was not the language of a conqueror dictating terms to the defeated. It spoke in Babylonian religious imagery, used their formulas, framed conquest as an act of restoration. Whether that was sincere humanism or brilliant imperial strategy, historians still debate. It, possibly both. But the question itself overturns something. The first ruler in recorded history to declare religious freedom and prohibit forced labor was a Persian king. And that is almost never said plainly. At Pasargadae, on an open plain, there is a structure that looks simple from a distance. A rectangular limestone burial chamber sitting on a 6-tiered stepped base. Total height, roughly 11 meters. The chamber inside measures approximately 3 by 2 meters, almost bare. No carvings, no relief panels, no painted walls. The tomb of Cyrus the Great, Alexander the Great, captured Pasargadae in 330 BC and made a specific detour to stand at this tomb. Ancient sources record he was struck by its austerity, that the greatest king of the ancient world had chosen such deliberate simplicity for his final resting place. But what the tourist brochures skip is this. Fars province sits on an active geological fault line. Earthquakes have struck this region. Throughout recorded history, some catastrophically destructive, leveling far more massive structures. Over 25 centuries, the tomb of Cyrus has remained standing and essentially intact. Engineers who examined the structure in the late 20th century found something remarkable in the stonework of its base. The blocks are laid in a configuration that allows slight independent movement under seismic stress. The layers shift fractionally, absorb the shockwave, and return. It is the principle of seismic isolation, a technique that modern structural engineering began, applying systematically in the 20th century. This tomb applied it in the 6th century BC. There is one more connection. The architects who designed Lenin's mausoleum on Moscow's Red Square in 1924 openly acknowledged their primary reference, the tomb of Cyrus. The stepped base, the rectangular mass above it, the deliberate absence of ornament. The most politically charged monument in Soviet history was modeled on a Persian tomb 2,500 years old. That connection is not discussed in Moscow. It is not discussed in Tehran. But the geometry does not lie. Among the ruins of the Pasargadae Palace complex, a carved portal survives. Cut into its stone is a single human figure, life-sized, robed in richly decorated garments, wearing what appears to be a tall Egyptian style. Headdress, standard achaemenid iconography until you reach the back. The figure has 4 wings, 2 angled upward, 2 angled downward in perfect bilateral symmetry. No other achaemenid king was depicted this way. Not before Cyrus, not after. Egyptian winged figures exist, but they represent gods, divine beings. Assyrian winged entities also exist in their tradition, but they are guardian spirits, explicitly supernatural. Here, the inscription beneath the figure reads, according to scholarly translation, something equivalent to, "I am Cyrus, the Achaemenid king, a living human ruler carved in iconography that every surrounding culture reserved exclusively for non-human beings." Some researchers note that the inscription style and the relief style may not belong to the same period, suggesting the caption was added later, possibly under Darius I, to anchor the new king's lineage to Cyrus's legacy. Others maintain the inscription is original but argue its meaning remains contested. Was Cyrus claiming divinity, asserting symbolic dominion over the 4 cardinal directions, 1 wing per quadrant, borrowing visual authority from conquered cultures? Simultaneously, no Achaemenid text explains the choice. The figure has stood in silence for 25 centuries. It is still standing. It still offers no answer. Persepolis was built as a ceremonial capital. Delegations from across the empire came here, and the Apadana staircase reliefs recorded them in stone with remarkable precision. Lydians, Ethiopians, Indians, Scythians, each group depicted in their own clothing, carrying their own tribute, walking in their own posture. Historians call these reliefs a stone census of 5th century BC global politics. But at the main entrance to the Apadana throne hall, the guards are wrong. Look at the figures flanking the doorway. Helmet, human. Face, human. Torso and arms, human. Hands gripping spears, human. Then look down. The feet are hooves, not stylized sandals. Not decorative foot coverings. Anatomically carved animal hooves, rendered with the same precision as every other detail on these walls. Meanwhile, the thousands of other figures on the same reliefs, soldiers, servants, tribute bearers, have ordinary human feet. The most accepted scholarly explanation is that these are not human guards at all, but an Achaemenid adaptation of the Mesopotamian lamassu, the protective spirit figures of Assyrian tradition, typically depicted as winged bulls with human heads. The Persians reinterpreted the form into something closer to human, fully human above, non-human below, deliberately liminal. A guardian that belongs to neither the mortal world nor the divine one, but stands exactly at the threshold between them. That is a sophisticated philosophical idea encoded in stone, but no Achaemenid text confirming that interpretation has ever been found. It is an inference. A reasonable one. And the hooves remain silent at the door of the throne room 2,500 years after the last king walked past them. In 1931, American archaeologist Ernst Hertzfeld began the first systematic excavation of Persepolis. His findings reshaped understanding of the site entirely, but one detail from his reports has never been fully explained and is rarely discussed at volume. In multiple locations across the complex, construction simply stopped, not completed, not formally sealed. Stopped mid-work. Columns end halfway through their carved ornamentation. Wall reliefs break off in The middle of a figure, a hand here, the beginning of a face there, then smooth uncut stone where the chisel never returned. In one hall, stone blocks were found already dressed and numbered, arranged in proper laying sequence, ready to be set in place. They were never placed. Tools were recovered from the work surfaces, not stored in tool rooms, not stacked for future use. Left where? The last worker put them down. The standard explanation: construction was interrupted in 465 BC when King Xerxes was assassinated in a palace conspiracy. Rulers' deaths frequently paused building programs. But this explanation develops a crack under pressure. Xerxes reigned for 21 years. His successor Artaxerxes I ruled for 41 more. Construction at Persepolis demonstrably continued after Xerxes' death. Later inscriptions confirm it. So why were certain sections built out while others were abandoned permanently? Herzfeld proposed a theory his colleagues rejected as speculative, that the unfinished sections were deliberately left incomplete as a form of ritual mourning. That within Zoroastrian religious practice, there may have existed a prohibition against completing imagery commissioned by a king who had died, not as disrespect, but as a kind of sacred incompleteness, a permanent marker of absence. No Zoroastrian text with such a rule has been found. But the unfinished reliefs stand. The tools were there when archaeologists arrived. The last person to hold that chisel died before Socrates was born. Their name is not recorded. Their face is not recorded. Only the unfinished face they were carving is recorded, still staring out of the wall, waiting for something that never came. When Cyrus built Pasargadae, he also laid out gardens around the palace complex. This is historically documented. Archaeologists have identified channels and layout traces. And what the physical evidence reveals is a design that had not existed anywhere before. The Old Persian word is chahar bagh, literally for gardens. For rectangular sections divided by two channels intersecting at right angles, water flows outward from a central point in 4 directions, corresponding to the cardinal directions. At the center, a pavilion or water feature. Along the channels, trees creating shade and drawing moisture through the air in a province where summer temperatures, according to climate records, can exceed 40 degrees Celsius. This was not decoration. This was engineering with cosmological logic built in. The 4 channels echo the 4 rivers of paradise in Zoroastrian cosmology. The center from which life radiates outward mirrors the symbolic geography of imperial power, 1 ruler for directions, 1 empire. A garden that functions simultaneously as infrastructure, aesthetics, and ideology, all 3 at once. That design became the template for garden architecture across half the world. Persian chahar. Bagh plans passed into Islamic architectural tradition. The gardens of the Alhambra in Granada, chahar bagh. The gardens of the Taj Mahal in Agra, chahar bagh. The Mughal gardens of Kashmir, chahar bagh. Through Arab Spain, the geometric axis and central fountain entered medieval European garden design. The axial symmetry of Versailles traces a direct lineage through centuries of transmission back to channels cut in Iranian soil in the 6th century BC. Most people who have ever sat by a fountain in a park with formal alleys are sitting inside an idea Cyrus's gardeners invented. They will never know it. 6 details. 1 empire. A rights declaration older than Rome. A seismically engineered tomb that outlasted every palace around it. A 4-winged king that fits. No known tradition. Hooved guardians at the door of the throne. A garden design that remade half the world's parks. And a chisel left on a wall that was never finished because something happened and nobody came back. The Achaemenid Empire is usually introduced in Western classrooms as Persia, the enemy of the Greeks. The opponent in Marathon, Thermopylae, Salamis. That framing is not wrong. It is just so incomplete that it functions as a kind of erasure. What Persepolis and Pasargadae actually show is a civilization that was doing political philosophy, seismic engineering, symbolic art, and landscape design simultaneously, 5 centuries before the Common Era. Tell me in the comments, which of the 6 stopped you? And if you want to go deeper into the places. History only shows from the front entrance. Subscribe. The next one goes further in.